Nora is a name that often makes people cough up blood. I haven't actually watched anyone's reviews of it, but I can't imagine they're anything less than, what were they thinking? Well, Mikuriya Satomi, Nora's creator, passed away on the 16th, a little over a week ago. So, what better a time than to make a Nora apologia video than now? Now, you might be thinking. Twinkle Nora Rock Me is awful, and its predecessor is mediocre. What could this video possibly do to ameliorate the former's terrible animation? Let's start with Satomi Mikuriya. Nora was Satomi's most beloved work. It wasn't his first or his last, but she was the one that stuck around the most. The dream he kept on chasing. And our mangaka in waiting is asked by Big Comic Originals editor-in-chief Inamada to create a story about a carrier that gets hijacked by terrorists. And who is that lead terrorist going to be? Nora! That's right, the Nora we all know and love was originally created to be a ruthless, intelligent female terrorist. You see, dear viewer, Nora's arc, which is the name of the first story and an obvious play on words, as well as its concept, were all developed by Inamada. Satomi had other plans, however, as he changed Nora into being an easygoing girl. And her band of fellow terrorists was made into mercenary volunteers from the UN Secretariat. It's said that perhaps he wanted Nora to grow up into a female version of Golgo 13, but I digress. While Inamada had praised Satomi, saying that he created one hell of a story, he was branded a failure at Big Comic and denied as a member of the serialization team. Still, it seems he completed 3 separate serializations in the interim despite not being a team member. I'm not sure why, but information is a bit sparse on this. After 2 years, Nora was finally printed by Kiso Tengaisha in a collected edition, but still had the reputation as being a shitty manga. Purportedly, not only did Kiso Tengaisha not pay royalties, it cycled through 12 editions before bankruptcy. I'm assuming that refers to different volumes and reprints of the Nora franchise rather than one book, otherwise I've got a lot of hunting to do. Nora, especially Twinkle Nora, is a great insight into Satomi's mind. His reasons for changing the character ideas centered around what to do rather than the how to do of the carrier being taken over. That's what made it fun. He had fun drawing Nora. In the short essay I've been referencing off Satomi's archived website, he said that it wasn't often that he could have fun while drawing. And I think that's the magical sweet spot of art. To be passionate and feel genuine happiness during the process of creation, of drawing. I know the feeling, as an artist, and I know what the antithesis feels like. And so Nora's personality represents how she was created. She's fun. Alas, there is but a cool world element of this franchise that makes it so that I cannot help but see Satomi in a pitiable light. He's basically Max. You can't tell me he doesn't look a bit like Max. Self-insert, projection, am I losing it? Well, he's like Max on any account, chasing his dream girl, this idealistic image of carefree wonderment. And it manifests extra so in the Twinkle Nora Rock Me featurette as he chases after Yamamoto, Nora's voice actress. Who's Nora. He tries so hard to look cool with his motorcycle and cigarettes and his Nora stand-in that it borders on parody. Here's someone who wanted to do great things and be on the cutting edge of it all. Satomi originally worked in computer development and apparently used computers that could take up an entire tennis court, and so greatly played into how he would create the futuristic world of Nora, and where technology, including the internet, would end up. That's why Twinkle Nora Rock Me is digitally animated. Kind of. Mostly. Sort of. Okay. Yeah. Which is kinda impressive for 1985, although, given the end result, I digress. Satomi wanted to make a name for himself in the anime industry and show his capabilities, which is why he was at the helm of the project, from storyboarding to animating to directing, you name it. And I think that's all where it inevitably goes wrong. Satomi's art isn't terrible, and he excels at drawing machinery quite well, but all of that is a labor-intensive burden for one person. especially when you're attempting to be innovative and there's this mounting pressure to make a name for yourself in an adjacent industry. The manga industry itself hadn't been too kind to him up until that point. And while Nora's first OVA would prove successful and decent enough for him to have such creative freedom, the failure of Twinkle Nora Rock Me would cripple his career in the animation industry. In fact, his manga career saw a steady decline from the previous busy year of 1984. It can be argued he stepped away on his own accord, or the complete opposite, really. Satomi's career is one of criticism, and while he had a host of works prior to 1985, his reputation suffered indefinitely. His unfinished manga Galaga was turned into an OVA in 1989, but he doesn't appear to have been involved. A year later, he abandoned manga officially and started a company focused on the Philips CDI. For some reason, he did that. Although he would work on a slew of things between 1993 and 1998. In 2001, he became a lecturer at Japan Kogakuin Hachioji College, and then again in 2005 at Tokai University. His website about Nora would go down in 2007, and she would fade away as a blimp in manga and anime history. Nora herself. So what makes Nora so fun? Wish fulfillment aside, she's a character you can drop into any scenario and make something interesting. She represents an idyllic image. As her voice actress Yuriko Yamamoto points out in the making of featurette, she's carefree and doesn't dwell on anything. That manifests in multiple different ways. In the first OVA, Nora expresses a childlike curiosity and mirth, which is what inevitably ends up saving the world. In the second OVA, it's what allows her to keep a level head and beat her rival sidekick, Fuchiro. In Nora's arc, she could have been a terrorist, but she wasn't. She was a resourceful young renegade UN mercenary as a result of good old-fashioned nepotism. In Nora's Shooting Star, she's an empathetic ambassador to extraterrestrials. Sulfur Current has her as a courageous leader willing to put her life on the line and save others. In Nora, it's like she was born from Christ and Buddhist sneezing. Twinkle Nora is a manga where she's a college student that develops psychic powers and becomes a Miss Marvel parody. Fit with Supergirl-esque melancholy, Twinkle Nora Rock Me is a more developed, less humorous version where she works as a psychic witch bounty hunter. Nora's potential is only limited to what the writer wants her to be. And I really mean what the writer wants. Twinkle Nora represents Satomi's wish fulfillment, the idealistic nature of who Nora is herself, and also the potential of what she can be. This holds especially true for the first concept, as it has very crude humor, and Chapter 3 is pretty gross and egregious in this regard. I can give it some credit, however, as Nora at the least doesn't like the male desires projected onto her, as the end of Chapter 4 really signifies how Nora feels, or how any woman would feel being put into such shitty situations. Neither Twinkle Nora nor Twinkle Nora Rock Me have the breadth of Nora's Arc or Sulfur Current. But you know what Twinkle Nora Rock Me does have? Light-hearted fun. Nora has so many cool and interesting powers that could be used to make an incredibly expansive series with world building akin to something like Space Cobra. She can project illusion. She has the power of telekinesis, and she sets large sums of money on fire before saying something corny. There's of course the complaint that she's too overpowered and never really in danger, but I don't find that to be necessarily a bad thing, as there's still suspense at one point, as the battle with Fuchiro isn't quite one-sided insofar as what's shown, even if it actually is due to the skill discrepancy between the two that's shown in the end. In many of Cobra's stories, he either doesn't appear to be in danger, or there's minor suspense of what may happen. At least in the wonderfully animated serial by Magic Bus. People watch Cobra for the ride, for the adventure, for all the cool characters, the intricate plots, how he's going to get the better of the baddie of the week, and if he may falter and lose something important along the way, which sometimes happens despite getting his man or woman in the end. That's the potential I see in the world of Twinkle Nora Rock Me, which is overshadowed by poor animation and some occasional lackluster art. but aside for a glimpse into what could be, and I mean really what still could be. Twinkle Nora Rock Me is a barely fleshed out universe with a charming, bewitching lead. The music and voice acting are great. Maybe all the budget went to the band, or was it that motorcycle? I digress. Some of the stills look good, and little tiny pockets of animation shine through the cloudy 2 to 5 frames per second skies. If anything, it works relatively well as an audio drama record. Bonus. There's also an interesting manga that Satomi created to coincide with the OVA as a pre-order bonus. I can't tell if this was also done digitally or if the compression has really just had that much of an effect as to make it look monochromatic. If you look at the character art in the background here, which is obviously traditionally painted, you can see that it's prominently featured in the 18-page adaptation. But that's really what it is, a condensed adaptation with decent art and rough shape. I could barely read the kanji on the first page. I think it says, "The Legend of the Witch Woman Nora?" Though you could probably just say the legendary bewitching Nora. Whatever. Nora. I've provided a download link for it because it was previously on Satomi's website for free until it went down, and I don't think anyone has the full thing anymore. At some point, I really did want to reach out as a joke and see if his beef banquet offer was still good, but, well, maybe I could have also snagged this figure. I've never seen a Nora figure on an auction site, but I would kill for one, or make someone think I killed them, in an illusion, because that's what Nora did. She did it. She did the thing in the OVA. You watched it. I think. I hope. Maybe. Okay. Nora. You should watch Nora. Just read Nora. If you don't like the anime. You should read Nora. It's not bad, I swear. Like, it's decent. Please. There needs to be more Nora fans. Please. Somebody read the manga. Read the manga, please. I'm begging you.